Hello, I'm Jesus, and welcome to the next episode of The Road to Old School MTG. In the last episode, I I went through a second now scam for towards the purchase of my collector's edition Mox Jet. So this is the second time I've been scammed for that specific card, which is the last Mox that I need to complete my Mox playset. Just want to quickly touch up on that. But then other than that, there are a lot of packages to open. All of these are smaller cards. One $50, two $50 cards. But just small things. These cards are more towards giving me more options for two things. More options for my sideboard and also more options towards tailoring my Erhnamgeddon deck to fit different formats and to fit different styles. So I'll talk more about that as I open up the cards. First, to do a final review on the Mox Jet situation. In the last video, I mentioned that I opened up the card. I noticed it was a scam. That same day, I contacted the seller, and I was immediately giving my money back. So I was very happy that I didn't have to go through any kind of verification of, right? There was no pushback, basically. I was just given my money back. Within a couple of days, 2 days, I believe, I already had the money back. But then so after that, after I received the confirmation that I was getting my money back, the next day, I did end up buying a Mox Jet again, knowing that I was going to get the money back from the other one, right? So, and then this one is, the seller has a lot of positive reviews, over 200 eBay score. So I'm confident this one is a legit transaction, and I'm looking forward to getting that final card, which is basically the last card that's holding me back from starting to use my deck, right? Because all these steps, all these videos have been towards me building the deck. First, I had an initial goal of doing a mid-tier version that excluded Moxes and Chaos Orb. But then after that, that's because I was unsure if I wanted to go that route. But now I just let the floodgates open. With now this final Mox Jet, I have all the Moxes. I have Ancestral Recall, Time Walk as well. The final two Power 9 cards. The Time Twister, like I said, I'm not getting at all. It doesn't fit any deck that I want to do. And the Black Lotus from Collector's Edition, right? These are all Collector's Edition, right? I'm not looking to purchase them in Unlimited, which will be the next viable option. But then prices are 3, 4, 5 times more than Collector's Edition, right? So that's why I've been focusing on Collector's Edition. Black Lotus is just way too expensive. That'll be more in the future, if at all, honestly. For the same price of the Black Lotus, I was able to get all the Moxes, basically, right? Give or take. So that's why I went that route. But now with the Mox Jet that's coming in, I'll have it completed. And then, like I said, I went for the most extreme version of the deck that has Power 9, Chaos Orb. So this final Mox Jet that I have now purchased and is on the way already will be the final piece. So then my goal now has been towards adding cards to give me more options in my sideboard. So of course, sideboards are 15 cards. But I have basically, I'm going to have like a 30 card sideboard, quote unquote. Just 30 cards, just give or take. I haven't counted it specifically, right? But basically, I've bought many cards, way over 15. That's because I've been researching different sideboards for Erhnamgeddon, depending on which version of the deck you're playing. The sideboard is a little different, plus, of course, who you're playing against, depending on the group of people you're playing with. I haven't played anybody yet, so I don't know that. That's why I wanted to have many options. That way, I can kind of tailor it as I need to, right? So a lot of the cards here will be towards the sideboard, just giving me more options, so I can pick and choose as I decide what to do with the sideboard. I already have a 15-card sideboard, but it'll change as I get, of course, new cards. With these new cards that came in, I might change some of those cards for others, swap them out, and I'm sure I'll still get a couple more here and there just to give me more options for the sideboard, right? Especially since a lot of these cards are inexpensive, as you'll see here. And the other, some other cards will be towards me being able to change my Erhnamgeddon deck to different variations. So I wanted to get, be able to change this into a budget version. So I'm getting a lot of cards that fit that budget theme. Also wanted to get some cards to fit the Bantamgeddon version, which adds blue and adds blue creatures. So just to be able to change it up to give my deck more life, make it more fun. I don't want to just do one deck and then be just that one version, right? So I think it'll give me more variations, make it more fun for me, and if I can change up the deck later. Okay, so some cards were added to that. Plus those blue cards, I also wanted to kind of do a blue aggro deck on the side, right? So a lot of these cards can serve many purposes depending which way I want to go. So some of those blue cards are towards that as well. At least gives me the possibility of creating a blue aggro deck. Those are the reasoning for the cards that I've been purchasing recently. So let's start opening these up. Like always, I'm going to show you the listings where I got it from to give you the full scope of the what it is, what listings I chose to buy, receiving the card, comparing what I get to the listing, the card's listing, right? To make sure it fits. Most of the time it has, but of course sometimes now it's been 2 times I've been scammed, and a few times where, well, more than a few times honestly, where the card and the description it didn't match up. A lot of times the card is so inexpensive that it's not such a big deal, but it's nonetheless I want to show that side of things, right? I want to give you a full scope of the full experience here. Okay, so first one, this I'm not sure which one. So I have like I believe 7, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 8 packages. So I've been able to tell most of these. I think all of them. This is the only one, but by the process of elimination, this should be 4 Savannah lines. Should be. I'm not too sure. But I'm gonna open it up. Let's see. A regular envelope, just another piece of paper, the receipts, I would think, and also gets a little bit additional. Yep, I was right. The receipt says 4 Savannah lines, and I can already see the top one. It's been so it has this one has a cardboard back over the. So actually, it doesn't even have a top loader. I thought it came in a top loader because it was stiff, but they just cut up a piece of cardboard, a square piece of cardboard the size of the card sleeve, and then just fit the 4 Savannah lines there. So not the best protection. Plus they taped up the top, which is now a little tricky now to remove. So that I also don't like. So not the best execution here. But these are not very expensive cards anyway, so not a big deal. Yep, 4 Savannah lines in 4th edition, I believe. Let me just check the listing. 4th edition. All right, so quickly going through them. Yep, I believe the listings may have mentioned either light plate or near mint. This one I see a little bend on. Yeah, definitely has a bend all across the bottom, which now that I come, so let me open up the listing of this as I'm comparing the cards. Four Savannah lines, 4th edition. So see pictures for the condition of each card. So a lot of people are doing this where they're not giving you a rating, right? A grading, which is fine. It's just saying, look at the pictures. I think that bottom one, that bottom left, that's the one that's bent. You see, it has a bit. The other, right? On the other ones, the light hits the surface more evenly, and that one, right? So I didn't notice that before. But now that after I'm opening this one, I can definitely tell one of these is bent across the full length towards the bottom half of the card. And I think it's that one. So it kind of lifts up from there. I mean, in that case, I think if it's something kind of big, you shouldn't just say, okay, look at the pictures, especially when you're laying it flat. So I think this one was a bit, well, maybe not deceptive, but I think they should have added that detail. One of these cards, this is the one, is bent. So I'm going to see if I can, but it was $10 for Savannah lines, so $2.50 each. So it's not a big deal, honestly. All right, so let me put these, show these up close. So this is the one that's bent. Just looking at the front, looks perfectly fine. All of these look perfectly fine in terms of if it was played or not, right? These are all near mint. I think you can kind of see the bend there on this one already, right? There, now you can see the light hitting it more. So you see that line. So let's see if through the side. No, you can't really tell. Yeah, from here looks, yeah, it's not capturing it. But I think you see it more from when the light hits it. There, right? There it is. Right, you see that little bulge? There it is. It runs across the whole card. So, not gonna cry over it. This is actually more for the budget version. If I wanted to turn my Erhnamgeddon deck into a more aggro budget version, I wanted to have these Savannah lines. So here's the second one. Right, so all of these, they're pretty good. If it wasn't for that one with the big bend on it, this all four would have been perfect. They're all basically near mint. So that one with the dent seems like it probably was from the binder. It got caught on it in some form, and then it was left there for a while, months, years maybe, and it just warped. But it's fine. Like I said, this is for the ability to change my deck into a more budget version, right? Because I'm entering different formats, and then I wanted to have that availability to change it up. So first for Savannah lines there, I think the seller should have mentioned that dent, because the picture is just, it's a little hard. You know, you could tell something, but honestly, the first time I didn't notice until I saw the card, and then now I'm comparing it to the picture. But by that point, I already had the card in hand, so I think it should have been mentioned, because it's a big dent, a big twist. All right, so next one is 4 crumbles. So and for a lot of these, I'm just deciding to get a playset because they're so cheap, might as well, right? So these are rare, I believe, right? So Savannah lines are rare, at least in the first few sets. Later on, they became uncommon if they've been reprinted. But remember, the reprint rules have to have the original art, original frame, right? So it looks like the original printing, more or less, right? But at the time, these were rare. I don't know if it was still rare in 4th edition, but I think so. Let's see if the rating had it. Not just for 4th edition. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So similar here, I have 4 crumbles because crumble is a card that gets added a lot to Erhnamgeddon decks as a good sideboard, right? So crumble green card, green instant, I believe, destroys artifacts for 1 green mana, right? So pretty good. And there were no legal reprints of this other than in antiquities. Either that, or I think maybe I just decided to splurge. It was not that much. So regular envelope, the receipt wrapped around to give a little bit more protection. Yep, receipt. There they are. So this one did come in a top loader, and then I like this. You see, this is the way it's done. The seller put a piece of colored paper, and then he taped the sides. So actually, so it's posted. So I like that. Posted, taped it on one side, curved it, and the other side he put tape on it, right? So it holds the cards, but I can still very easily flop it open, or just cut off the paper part, so I don't have difficulty opening it up like I did on the last with the Savannah lines. So then there's a penny sleeve within that has the 4 crumbles. It should be 4. And these are in antiquities. Ooh, very nice. So actually I didn't do the 4 quickly on the Savannah lines. So I think crumbles have been repaired. But since it wasn't so expensive, I chose to get the antiquities version. So let me show these cards one by one. First one. So instant destroy target artifact. Artifact features may not regenerate. Artifact controllers gain life points equal to target artifacts casting cost. So it's basically like a Swords to Plowshares, but for artifacts. And then whoever you destroy from the artifact, they gain life. But it's instant, and it's 1 green. And if it's an artifact creature, it may not regenerate. So that's pretty cool. So like I said, antique, and plus these are antiquities. The 4 of them. It's very nice. They seem near mint to light played. At worst, light played. You can even go for near mint. I don't see any kind of weathering. This one does have a little bit. See that weathering? I don't know if that's from use or just the card is kind of weathered on its own, maybe from being in a plastic, right? Because it's very foggy, right? It's supposed to just being scratched up or anything, right? So it looks very clean, but it's foggy, right? The black borders are less black, right? Like the ink wore off, right? So let me know in the comments, what's your experience with that? Do you think it's actually from use when that happens, or if it's like just the color disintegrated over time, if it was maybe in plastic or whatnot, right? Just, the cards don't seem like they're being used. If they have, very lightly, and since they've been very lightly used at most, it kind of doesn't make sense for the borders to be so to not be so dark as much, right? So I can compare it to other ones. Actually, they're a bit similar, but some are more weathered than others, but still very nice set of 4 crumbles right there. So let me show the listing. So also from eBay, so 11 plus $1 shipping, so 12, $3 each. Lightly played. So I think definitely at least lightly played. I'm even considering maybe it's a near mint. See, look at this one. This one, just from how it looks, it kind of looks like it may be bent. So let me actually go back and check. Maybe this is the one. But you know, like these cards are very old. Like this one has tiny bit, but it's not to the point where you can see it in the reflection or anything. So I don't know. You see the right side here is kind of lifting up, but it could be just the camera. I don't know, but it's kind of happening that, you know, like it's hard to tell. But from me physically looking at them, they look fine, right? So look, that one has a bit of weather, right? But yeah, so honestly, they look even better in person, in the flesh. So pretty good for crumbles. So I do see this a lot as a sideboard option, right? Not 4 of them, right? I don't think I've seen 4 in a sideboard, but you know, since they're so inexpensive, I figured just get the playset. Okay, here I don't know if it's 8 cards actually, because from one seller I bought 2 playsets, so 8 cards, 4 of each. So, but I'm not sure if all 8 are in this one, and if so, I should then have one more card coming up, one more playset, right? So we'll see. It should be 4 tsunamis and 4 karma cards here. If not, then it's only one of them, and then I should have another package still coming up. Let's see if it's 4 or 8. Yeah, actually it seems like it's 8. So yeah, seems like it's all of them. Well, we'll see. So it's not even in a bubble. I mean a top loader. But actually 8 cards don't fit in a top loader. I kind of 4 is the max, right? Because this can only expand so much. So it seems like it's all later them. But the posted to cover the top. So yeah, looks like there's 8. So I think that's why they didn't put in a top loader, because it wouldn't have fit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So they did include all 8 cards, which is better for me. Ooh. So the very first tsunami I'm seeing, and then I don't know, it's hard. Oh no, it's definitely scratches, and it's noticeable. Sometimes the scratch you have to kind of squint it here or there. This one is just like it's clearly scratched up, and several scratches. So first, let's show the listing. Unfortunately, I used the stock image. So 4 times tsunamis light plate. So honestly, look how cheap it is. Not even $1 a card. So I guess I can't complain so much. And they're revised, right? So I do like that, because I'm kind of like going towards the revised version of these cards. Right? If unlimited is not so bad, then I might get unlimited. But usually, revised to unlimited is a huge difference in price. And certain cards like the Icing Manipulator wasn't even available in revised. I had to get that one in unlimited. So I guess, you know, stock image, so light play. But if something scratched up, I don't think that qualifies as light play. The other ones, yeah. So, but then again, it's just 1 card. and it's so cheap, I guess it's not the end of the world. So I don't know if you see on the clouds there. So let's see if I can, Rudy's tool. This is my tool here. Right there, that line, and even above us, this little area, there's several scratches. There we go, it's catching it better now. And they're very deep. I can actually feel them on the surface of the card. So just as soon as I opened, flip the card around and I saw it, like those scratches are very apparent. And I thought it was maybe part of the artwork, which it is actually. So the back, yeah, like you can see more use on it. So this is the worst one out of the bunch. The other ones are pretty good actually. So here it is. So normally the artwork has like, twirls, you see? The scratch happened to be in a similar spot to the artwork, right? So that's why it was a bit ambiguous, but it is scratched up. This one is not, you see? When you tilt it under the light, there's nothing that reflects. So this one is fine. And the other one seemed fine also in general, right? So this one's definitely light played. Well, you can see a little bit of use, but very nice condition still. Same thing, light played. And they're very clean, so also like that. Yeah, that you see that one has a bit of a, actually not a bit of, quite a bit. See all that? I don't think you can call this light played. You see that? If I had seen this, I would not have bought it. Honestly, in person, me with my eyes looking at it, it's not so bad. It's clear. On the picture, because of the light, it just reflects it, pops out even more on the camera, right? So it's not so bad when I look at it, but so at least there's that. Here it's just so close up that it looks worse, but it's very visible nonetheless. So that one is actually, I thought it was only one card that was bad. Two of them. So Tsunami, Sorcery, all islands in play destroyed, of course, is good against blue control decks or anything, or even could be good against blue aggro decks, right? So since they don't have if they're mono blue, they probably have just islands, right? So this is a good sideboard card. I've seen it, but usually people don't put 4 of them in a sideboard, just 2. But like I said, it's so cheap, I figure might as well. But honestly, those 4, I don't agree that it's light play. I think those are played. 2 of them are light play. 2 of them are played in played condition, maybe even worse than that, but definitely not light play, right? So I think more and more, only when the card is super cheap am I okay with going through a listing that uses a stock image, right? So let me just show it again. Plus, look at his ratings, right? Like I said, I'm not gonna cry, nor am I gonna, honestly, just for full disclosure, I have not posted a single points towards rating, right, of any of the sellers. In the beginning, when I was first starting, I mentioned that, okay, I'm gonna give this person positive feedback for this, whatever, or neutral feedback, whatever. But I quickly decided just to forgo all that. The most I've done is one time on a revised Birds of Paradise that I paid around $30 for. It used the stock image. It was listed at either light plate or near mint, and then I messaged the seller like, hey, like it's not worth it. I still need a Birds of Paradise. It's not worth it for me, for the price. It's not worth it for me to deal with all the hassle. But I wanted you to know that, I don't think it was, I think it's unfair for you to list something that's clearly not light play near mint as near mint. It had issues, the card. Plus I paid for what I paid for. I should have gotten something that was in better condition according to the other listings that I saw, right? So that the most is I've done that. Out of all the cards, I sent one message, not counting the scams, right? But I sent one message to one seller, which was somebody also with a big seller account. But once again, it was a cheaper card, Well, actually, it was the Budget Erhnamgeddon, and that's so cheap. But these are cheap. But still, that's the most I've done, right? So this one I'm not gonna bother, but nonetheless, at least I'm showing it here for you guys to see. But it's up to you. If you would have done something different, that's your decision. For me, it's just not worth the hassle. I think me showing it here is enough. I've done enough to warn people. Okay. So that was the tsunami. So from the same seller, of course, it came in the same package that had no top loader. Also using stock image for light plate revised karmas. So now I'm looking at these. No, I don't trust the seller, honestly. So the other guy that had the issue with the Birds of Paradise, right? So I recall the account. I'm purposely not buying from that seller. So same thing with this one. I don't think I'll take the chance. So these one are fine. Or at least they seem fine. These seem like light play karmas. So in revised, which is nice, like I said, whenever possible, I'll go that route. So they seem fine. 4 light plate revised for $3, right? So not even $1 each, right? So let me just. So on this one, I think the seller was fine. So karma to colorless to white enchantment during a player's upkeep. Karma does 1 point of damage to that player for each swamp he or she has in play, right? So mono black decks, this is good. Protection. Actually, this reminds me, like 10 videos back, I bought 5 white knights, right? Which is also another good card against black. 2 white, 2/2 first strike creature with protection from black. And it just so happens that the seller was selling 5 of them, right? You can only put up to 4, right? So thought it was funny. They were selling 5, but it was still a good price. And I figured I could have one extra just in case or whatever. But I never ever got those cards. And then I contacted the seller. I just contacted the seller to let him know, like, hey, I didn't get them. And asked, did the shipping have any kind of insurance or anything, right? Because it wasn't the seller's fault, nor was I accusing the seller of it was his fault. Because it had tracking, and the tracking. So there you saw the four karmas. And since I'm talking about it, maybe let's see if I can open up that. So first of all, the karmas, just to finish up, that one was fine, right? But the tsunamis, 2 of them were not good, right? I'll still use them, right? It's just sideboard. It's cheap card, but nonetheless, if you're going to use stock photos, which is fine, right? Especially something so cheap, like the cost of labor of your time compared to what you're selling it for, that's okay, right? But at least you've got to be accurate. Light plate, I don't think deep scratches count as light plate. I don't think marks, visible, and I just a few marks, maybe a couple marks. Okay, that's pretty extreme, right? It's very visible. What happened to this one over here, right? So it's just right, and the other camera catches it, right? You guys saw, that's not light plate. So but it's so cheap, whatever. But I'm definitely not buying from the seller again. So let me just quickly jump down to the white knights that I bought a while ago. So actually, this will tell me the time. It was so far back, I gotta go to the next page of my history. Okay, there are. So I bought it on October 29. It is November 20. So October, actually, it's been like, now that I thought it was longer than that. But I definitely should have had these like a good week by now. So 5 4th edition white knights for $5, $1 each. I never got them. And actually, I'm going to click on the tracking information. So this is when I click on the tracking for this card, because they did include tracking. So tracking provided in transit. So that means it's been scanned, it's in the system. Or is it? Well, it says in transit, right? But here it says in transit. It's not clicked over here. But actually, it's happened with other ones where it doesn't go all the way to fully, all the steps officially, but I still got the card. So actually, I'm going to open that up again in another example, right? Just to give you guys the full scope here. So this one I never bought. I mean, I never received. It's not the seller's fault, but the seller was still nice enough to give me a refund, right? Plus, it was just $5, right? But when I contacted the seller, it wasn't for me for the intention of me getting my money back. It was for me to kind of get my money from USPS. It was their fault. But without me even asking, the seller just was nice enough to give me the money back. And I mentioned that I was reminded to me because of the karmas. Karmas are also another good, of course, card against black. That's the reason why I was getting the white knights. It also gave me more options to turn my deck into a aggro weenie deck, right? So there are some versions of Erhnamgeddon that use savannas, lions, and cheap creatures like that, right? So white knights, order of late birds, stuff like that. So that's the reason why I got it, but I never got it. So I'm probably, that reminds me. So I still need to get 4 white knights. Okay, but imagine, because a lot of these shipments are not insured, right? So even if they have tracking, I don't think that still counts as being insured, right? So just for you to mentally remember that, and also for me, it's not guaranteed you're going to get the card, right? And then in this case, the seller was nice enough to give me the money back without me even asking for it. But what if it's some of these cards here? I got 2 cards here that are $50 each, so spend over 100 on them. I would hope that one has insurance, maybe not, right? I'm just saying, just like you saw here, it's not a guarantee you're going to get the cards. And hopefully you don't have any issues when it doesn't arrive, right? Right? To be clear, it's not the seller's fault, but it's not your fault either, right? So, what's going to happen there, depends on who you bought it from, depends on the situation, depends on how expensive it is, the card that you got is. Okay. Okay, so actually, let me go to this next. Let me jump ahead and get. Actually, that was the next one I was going to get. So this one should be 4 dust to dust cards from. Let me open it up, and this is the one that I was also mentioning where it has a tracking number provided. It has it was initially scanned, but then it didn't follow any of the other steps. So here through eBay it says I still haven't gotten it, but here it is, right? So, and that's happened several times already, right? So the opposite could happen where you get it, but it's not scanned. And I guess if you wanted to be a jerk, you could just say, hey, I never got the card. even though you did. So it's happened a couple of times. Actually, even happened with a very expensive card, maybe once or twice. One of them, I'm pretty sure one of the Moxes at least that I bought from eBay. I believe the very first one, Mox Emerald. I'll quickly scroll as I'm going through these other cards, but I'm pretty sure it happened there where it didn't go through all the full steps. So technically, I didn't get it, but I got it, right? So just letting you guys know, this tracking stuff is helpful. 9 out of 10 times, it works, and then you can tell, what happens, and when you got it and so forth, but it's not always the case. So, and then let me show you in this example. So here's like I said, 4 dust to dust in the dark. They were reprinted, but by the time they were reprinted, I think the 4th or 5th edition, something like that, the artwork changed. So I had to get from the dark, but they're pretty cheap. So seems like it's some kind of cardboard inside, and then the seller taped both edges all across, so I can just tear it open. Which is, I mean, in general, that's nice because actually, oh, that's nice. They taped it all on all 4 edges, so I can just tear this open. And I do not have a scissors here, so I'm gonna have to improvise with my just cutting into the front of the page of the paper. But like I said, I felt the cardboard inside, which now I can see. So I knew it would have been okay. So just a regular envelope, which is fine, but very well protected cardboard. It's kind of taped inside by accident, or maybe on purpose, I don't know. Right? Actually, I'm kind of surprised because this is the shipping information said 53 cents, which is still the price of a stamp. I'm afraid, just a regular top loader, I thought that was the max that you could put, but this person fit this much in and he was still charged for as a stamp. So maybe he got lucky and nobody complained, who knows. Or I got lucky, right? Because I still got the card. Right. So in a plastic covering. So no top loader, but with these 2 sets of cardboard, I think that probably provided even better protection. So penny sleeve and the 4 cards in here. Ooh, look very nice. So from the dark, so some of these, actually that reminds me of the crumble. So the reason why I went for the crumble in Antiquities was that I want to have some of these in the original printing, because let's say maybe I want something else from Antiquities that's more expensive, right? I've read that it's good to have something to compare it to, right? Even if it's not the same card, it's still the same set, right? So you can still tell kind of like, the way it was printed, how it should look, the way it feels, right? So it's better to have comparison in case you buy something else that's more expensive. You want to have something to compare it to check its authenticity, right? So that made me remind myself why I got these in Antiquities. Same thing for here, the dark, and I have these in the dark. If I ever wanted to get something else that's more expensive from the dark, I can compare these cards to it, especially if it's white, right? So then even a better one-to-one comparison. But even if it's a different color, at least there's still something to compare it to, right? So that's the reason why I've gotten some of these I've gotten in the original printing. But actually, dust to dust, I'm pretty sure I had to get it from the dark, because when it was reprinted, it was different artwork by that point. So here it is. Very nice. It looks very nice. I really like that artwork. So these seem light plate at most. If I put it up close, you can, I don't know if you can see it. It's not showing up in the camera so much. Okay, there's a bit, right? So there's weathering, right? It's just the black of the border, at least on that border, it's, yeah, you can see it here too. So I don't know if that's from use or from just, just the ink starts to fall off, either from it being stored and it just peels off, or gets soaked up by by the plastic it's being surrounded on. Who knows? It just looks, to me, it looks like it's a different wear pattern than if it was just used, right? If it was being played. You see here, you can actually see, nope, on this side, right? The right has a little neck, right? So you just, there's little differences that you can tell where something was used and it was shuffled, right? So this could also be just from being used also, but it just looks a little different. But for dust to dust, so just to review the card itself, so 2 white and a colorless sorcery, remove 2 target artifacts from the game, right? So it removes it from the game. That's pretty strong, especially if, so this is good for decks that are using a lot of artifacts, decks that reanimate the artifacts, right, in one form or another. So it's good to just remove it from the game. Plus, the owner of the card doesn't get any kind of life or anything. It is in sorcery speed though, right? So only during your turn. But I have seen a lot of Erhnamgeddon decks have these cards in their sideboard. Plus, I have other cards also in the sideboard that address artifacts, right? But I just also wanted I also wanted the dark cards to compare, like I said. So let me see if I showed the listing. Did I? Well, let me do it again if I didn't. I don't remember if I did or not. Dust to dust, $6.50, 53 cents shipping. So for $1.50. So this one you see has really, the picture's really nice. Actually, here it looks more weathered than in person, right? So, which is better for me, because if I was willing to buy it looking like this, and now that I got it, it looks even better, then that's even, that's an even better deal. So this one was perfectly fine. Good seller with a good amount of, a good score, eBay score. So that one was perfectly fine. Oh, did I show this though? So this card, technically, I never got. See, so that's this is the tracking info. So tracking number provided, and that's it. And then none of these other steps were checked off. So obviously, you guys just saw the cards, but just now on through the mail service, all the steps were not followed, and then I think some sellers might lose money from somebody else who may just do a complaint and say they never got it, and then it's not the seller's fault. I'm pretty sure there's people who would do that. I'm not one of them, but right, so that could happen. So as a seller, I'm sure a lot of people get hit by that, but also the opposite. You didn't get the card, like it happened with the White Knights. It's not the seller's fault, but it's also not the buyer's fault. When you complain, what happens? In my case, the seller was nice enough to give me my money back without me even asking, but that might not be always the case, right? And then if the seller fights it, actually, you can't really blame them either, because like it says, the tracking was provided. It seemed like it was already in transit. Something was scanned, but it never arrived, right? So out of everything, that's the only time where that happened. And good thing it was with such a cheap card, But here I have, like I said, I have 2 cards here that are $50 each. And you guys have seen me buying Savannahs, you know, more, stuff, way more expensive stuff, like, the collector's Power 9 stuff. So you gotta watch out, right? It's not guaranteed. Something up to a certain, you gotta check within yourself what's up to what certain price point do you have to say, okay, I need insurance. Because like you saw, I've bought maybe 50 packages that I've received. One of them I never got. It just so happened it was a cheap card. Maybe next time that won't be the case. All right, so next. So there should be 2 Psionic Blast cards. But I also have 2 more Psionic Blast cards that I bought from TCG Play. These 2 are from eBay. I couldn't get a full play set of 4, and then I couldn't get 2 more on eBay, either that were in the price point that I wanted or the condition, right? I just couldn't get 4 from eBay. So I had to do 2 and 2. There should be 2 from Psionic Blast from eBay. So let me open up that one. So this one, like, it follow all the steps on the tracking. It says I got it, and the day I got it, I got the email that I got it. When I got home, it was there, right? So this one followed all the steps. And okay. Although this one, quantity 2, yeah. All right. So regular envelope, same thing like before, like they tape the sides, although not all the corners, so I can still kind of tear it through it a little bit. So a receipt, that's pretty standard. They use the receipt as just a tiny bit more, another final layer of protection. So within that, big penny sleeve, I don't know what to call it, just a penny sleeve type, right? But it has a flap with a sticky flap. So then another penny sleeve, so pretty nicely protected. And then within that, cardboard, and then within that, the 2 Psionic Blasts. So on the listing, says it was near mint. Each one is $6, and I bought 2 of them. Yep, near mint. So this one also has the weathering issue, but there's no nicks, there's no anything that looks like, because as you shuffle, even if it's, I guess if you sleeved it up the whole time as you were playing with it, you could still not have, but then it wouldn't wear either, right? So I think some of these wears in the border, black coloring of the border, I think it's just, it could be just the ink being sucked up by whatever it is that it's being covered by, right? But like I said, I don't know, right? Anybody in the comments has any more information or experience with that? Let me show you what I have here. But the cards looks nice. The first one here is where this, actually, let me show you this. This one is clearly near mint. All the borders are very nice. Oh, and just to be clear, this is a reprint from the time shifted set. I think that's the name. You see over here, you have the hourglass set symbol. But this reprint still counts as a legal reprint for old school, because other than that, the set symbol there, this looks like almost like an original cyanic blast from Alpha Beta Unlimited. It was not in revised, or else I would have gotten this in revised, provided it was not too expensive. I believe it's not in revised. Maybe I'm wrong, but I remember though the pricing of these are very expensive. They're like $50 around that range per card, depending on the condition. And I wasn't willing to spend all that. So cyanic blast, 2 colors, 1 blue, instant. Cyanic blast deals 4 damage to target creature or player, and 2 damage to you. I think part of this is now to any target, right? So I believe you may be nowadays you may be able to hit planeswalkers as well. A lot of these that used to say creatures or players have been updated, and this is probably another one of those cases. So this is one of those few times where blue gives you direct damage. You get 2 damage also, but you deal 4 damage. It's instant speed. So I have seen a lot of these cards in sideboards as either another final way to kill the opponent if they're almost dead. You can just hit them directly, or also another way to clear the board, any creatures and so forth, right? So it gives you versatility. You can destroy creatures, or you can also ping your opponent straight, right? So these are good for, especially for aggro decks. So these could be in the main deck. If your deck is, if you're doing maybe Bantamgeddon, some of these may be included. But these are also have been included in sideboards if you wanted to be a bit more aggressive at these as well. Oh, so that was the first one. This is the second one. This one has weathering in the front on the borders. From there looks perfectly fine. So let me see if I can. You can kind of see it a bit. It's still hard to tell, but here, maybe in comparison to the first and the second. The bottom border is way darker than the top one, right? And I don't know if that's from use or just from the ink, just disintegrating over time. So I just wanted to point that out. Other than that, the card looks fine. There's no nicks or anything. The back looks great. It's just, just a little weird. 2 cards, and then one of them has some kind of cloudiness, weathering to it. It's light, but it's still noticeable, at least especially in person. But other than that, the condition is perfectly fine. It does have a little bit of a cloudiness there, right? So I wouldn't say that's a scratch or anything, right? So it's, once again, it's weird. It's a bit vague. And now that I'm noticing this dust to dust, look at the bend on it. So I'm not so happy with that, but it's gonna happen. If you buy more expensive cards, a lot of players, and you can tell that's a pretty extreme bend on that dust to dust. Look how here I put all the cards that I've gotten so far. I stack them on top of each other. Look how far that one dust to dust bends. That's a pretty extreme bend. So I may have to just fan it out some way. And I just noticed it just out of the corner of my eye. Okay, so like I said, 2 cyanic blasts. That's from eBay. So I think it's still accurate near mint. Maybe light plate, but still $6 each. That's fine. But I did want a playset, so I do have 2 more. So that was the last bid from eBay, and then the rest of the cards I got from TCG Player. So just to recap, here it is. Cyanic Blast, $6. I bought 2 of them, so there's still 1 more. Oh, actually, Cerebello by now. The reason why I didn't buy 3, because I think they had 3 available, is because the other one that I bought the other Cyanic Blast for, that came in 2, right? So, I just had to make it even so I could get 4 in total between the 2 orders. All right, so there it is. I think it's okay. Okay, so before that, since I was talking about already, just showing the way the USPS system has worked. Okay, so it wasn't this one. So I just clicked at the Mox Emerald tracking info, and that showed that I got it. So it wasn't that card. Or maybe after the fact, eventually, like, it's been finalized in one way or another. But I do recall another card where that happened, where I bought something and it never showed. Okay, well, this other one here, let's see if I can show that. Relic Barrier, $18 card. Same thing, right? So if I wanted to be a jerk, I could have said never got it. All right, so it works in both ways, on both sides, to the benefit of the buyer, if you so wanted to be, to take advantage of that situation, right? Or it could be actually probably not to the benefit of the seller, but it could be in neither one's benefit, like it happened with the White Knight cards, where it was neither party's fault, and then it's just the fault of the USPS service, right? And then there might be a dispute in that case, right? Since because neither parties have fault, it's up in the air what might happen. Okay, so that was the final eBay. So now let me open up the other 2 cyanide glass. These are from TCG Player. So for that, I'll be looking at, actually, let me just show this right now. Because I added all these 3 sets of cards into my cart, and then I bought them all together. So in one email, I have the full rundown of what I got. So I got, like I said, 2 also from Time Shifted cyanide glass to complete the 4. I got 4 flying men from, so these are near mint 4 flying men from Time Shifted also, which I'm going to open up after this one. And then I got 2 preachers from the dark. They're only in the dark, and these were in light plate condition. So I'm opening up here the Time Shifted. That's this one here. So it was similar price, like $6 each, right? Give or take, right? But it basically came out to $6 each, just like the eBay one. Right? I can recognize it because Top Cut, that's the name of the what's on the in the envelope here, right? So I definitely don't like the TCG Player formatting of what you got. It's just they include, it's just sometimes it's a little bit tricky to know what it is that you got. On eBay is more streamlined, but even on eBay still can be tricky sometimes, right? But maybe I don't know the full way of working it out. All right, so receipt, top loader within it, and it's so this one they just put a tape over. I don't like it. A lot of times when somebody put a tape, they also flapped it at the end so it can still be pulled, right? So that way you can still use the tape. It could still be a secure seal, but the person opening this doesn't have to go through all this hassle here. You see, I'm trying to peel it off. It's not working. This is just annoying. And it doesn't take just a extra 2-3 seconds to just flap it at the end, or like we saw with some other sellers, they put post-it notes instead of tape, right? So just alternatives, right? But this is, it's been a minute here. I finally got it open here. And not only that, but it probably makes the top loader now unusable, right? Or at least, it's going to have some kind of residue, right? Just, not a good idea. Okay, so there's a penny sleeve inside, but it's just so tight that the cards just flopped out. These are in better condition than the other. These two are definitely near mint. So at least all that hassle of me opening that top loader was worth it. These cards are clearly near mint. The other two, I think, one of them is, the other one is a light plate, but not a big deal for the price that I paid, at least. All right, so let me show first one. See, the border is very even in terms of the coloring. There's the back, it looks nice. So number 4. These cards in Alphabet in Unlimited, which is the cheapest one, I believe, or maybe in Revised. I'm not sure where it is the most that I could have gotten this for. The cheapest reprints, within the 93, 94, within the 90s, basically. But yeah, the prices were too crazy for this particular card. And like I said, for me, this is just, it's nothing particularly iconic, at least to me. I wasn't inspired to spend more on these. I wanted the card at the cheapest price I could get, and that's it. But these two came out really nice, right? So, and then you guys saw the listing, at least from the not the actual listing, but the rundown on the email that I got. So it's a near mint. Yep, tiny glass near mint. That's what I got. So I'm pretty happy with it. These should be now the 4 Flying Men, also from TCG Player. Actually, let me show the listing again, the email. So also from Time Shifter Flying Men. Also, these are pretty expensive. I think they're like $20 each. If I was to get them in from the Arabian Nights set, that's where they're from originally. But and they're common, I believe, right? So $20 for a common card. I wasn't going to do that. But even in the Time Shifter, it's not so cheap. So for 4 of them, 12. So they were almost 3 each, right? So, and once again, they were commons, right? So even the Time Shifted are still pretty, right? $3, right? They're more expensive in the Time Shifted than the 4th edition 7 Alliance that I got, right? So just to give you the full scope, right? So this one came in a long plastic. I went to the DMV, and it's hard to open it. Okay, and then they included just a promotional, I guess. Yeah, this is annoying. Plus the flap has, yeah, I actually had to just tear this apart. It's annoying. I mean, I appreciate it. I still prefer, annoying doesn't mean I don't want it to have that. Right? Just, I really want to see my cards. All right. So then within that receipt, within that little cardboard protection and advertisement, and then within that the cards, and it just came in a penny sleeve, but with all that additional protection that was fine, and it just tore apart from the seam, right? But I mean, it was well protected. Ooh, yeah, they look really nice. Definitely. Some of these are, yeah, actually for most of these, the borders are a little bit faded. What may fade it, I think cloudy is a better description. So here on the, they were described as near mint, and like I said, it's $3 each. I guess that, yeah, I mean, that cloudiness, still makes me unsure. Does that cloudiness, is that normal from just wear? Plus, these are actually, remember, these are time shifts. These are not so old. 2006, right? So the dust to dust, right? That I said had that same cloudiness. That's more understandable. Those are from the 90s. These are old reprints of older cards, but these are relatively more modern from 2006, right? The time shifted ones. So it's just weird that that also has the cloudiness, right? 2006 is still 15 years ago. 15 years ago, right? So still, I mean, but I wouldn't expect such cloudiness. Plus, back then, it's not so much the age also, but the process was more, streamlined, more finalized in the later sets, right? So it's more uniform. So this is the first one. They look nice. Like I said, it has a bit of cloudiness. That one has a tiny bit of a neck, actually. So I don't know if this one's a couple more nicks in the back. You can't really tell all the way. Kind of my fingers covering some of these. I would call this light plate. I guess maybe near mint still, I guess. But, it's still pretty good. Not complaining that I got ripped off or anything. These still look nice. Ooh, this one does not actually. Ooh. This one has some. This one has a lot of scratches. So let's see, flat. Oh, you can actually see them. Yeah, there it is. Right where there it is. You can see it, right? A little bit. That should just work, right? You see multiple scratches actually that I see. But it's and the dot. Although that dot is, yeah, no, this is not near mint. Not the front is. Maybe they just looked at the front and then took a quick peek at the back and then okay, near mint. No, that one has that one had issues. That is not near mint. This one seems fine. So yeah, now I'm really looking. This one has a couple little spots here and there. It's hard to tell from the picture, from the camera. But the condition of the card itself is fine. So this one was a little bit of a hit and miss. The 4 cards in total. The borders have a little cloudiness to them. I don't know if that's natural or not. But then one of them was, the back was kind of jacked up. There was a dot scratching near the circles, the 5 mana circles, and then also a lot of scratching at the edge. So yeah, this one, yeah, I think that was not correct in terms of label. Actually, I don't think, I know that was not correct, labeling these near mints, at least for at the very least for that one card. That card is played condition due to the back. The front looks fine though, so that's the main thing. Honestly, the front is what I care most about, at least for these cards. If it's more expensive, I equally care as much as the front and the back, because if the card is worth more, then everything's being taken into account in terms of the value. This is, I'm not going to sell these again or whatever. It's just a $3 card. Right? So I don't care so much that the back is jacked up in one of them. But you know, I care more just from a principle standpoint, right? You know, you sell something that's near mint, you advertise it as near mint, it's just only fair for you to get a near mint card. And sometimes maybe there's a little bit of a gray area. That one was no gray area. That thing was scratched up in several spots. It's not a near mint, nowhere near mint card. So I think that was very deceptive. But I can see how maybe as a seller, you just saw the front and then you just took a quick look at the back and then just, okay, near mint. So, you know, at the end, it's just a $3 card, so whatever. So these I got not so much as a sideboard, but this is to turn my deck either as Bantamgeddon, where it adds blue creatures. So this is one of the blue creatures that could be added. Also, I have Serendip Ifrits, which is the 3/4 for 3 blue mana. That's a very strong creature, right? Similar to the Erhnamgeddon, low casting cost creature, and that one has flying though, right? So that gives me the ability to do that. Plus, I was also thinking about doing a blue aggro deck, which these will be very good for, right? So it could be used for in several ways, but this is not a sideboard card at all. Okay, last one, like I showed, these are 2 preacher cards. So let me show the email confirmation. Lightly played. So yeah, I remember I paid like $50 each, 51, something like that. Plus maybe shipping, whatever, tax, whatever, that came out to a little bit over 100. And I got 2 of them. So the preacher card is that it could be either or. It could be main deck or sideboard. I've seen them being used in both situations, or even in both together, meaning you got some in the main deck and then some more in the sideboard. So for me, I was, you know, since my deck is already pretty set, these for me it's only being used as sideboard. And since they're so expensive, $50 each, at least for a good quality ones, I didn't want to spend $200 on a full playset of 4 cards that are going to be in the sideboard. And I don't anticipate ever needing all four in the sideboard, right? So I just got what I needed. 2 is enough. I wasn't even going to get 2, but since I was seeing it consistently in sideboards, I thought, okay. So it came in a bubble mailer, in a top loader. There it is. And then it came with a Pokemon back thing. Okay, that's the sleeve inside. And then it has tape on all 4 edges. Hey, only one. Oh, there's 2 top loaders. Oh, okay. So he gave me 1 per card. A lot of people would just put only 1 and then fit both cards in there. So maybe he just didn't want to force the cards in there. Okay. So that's why he put tape on all 4 sides, to have both top loaders be together during shipping. But then that just makes it a little annoying. But for some reason, this tape is coming up pretty nice. It wasn't flat at the edges. I'm just getting lucky here. Oh, not anymore. Okay. Full disclosure, for this one, the seller gave me like $3 and change back, because after the fact, they said one of the cards we feel was not graded properly, right? So these were in the listings, it was like late play. They said we feel one of these was not graded properly, and we're giving you a refund for the difference in the grading. And they gave me like $3 and change back. So I guess one of these was not light played, according to their estimation, maybe played. But I'm thinking $4 between the difference between light play and played. I think that that's not enough. When I saw that $4, like $3 and change, I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice, I guess. You know, they out of their own volition, they decided to give me that back, but then $4 doesn't cover it, right? So, okay, so now I'm seeing the difference between one that's light plate and then one that's, I guess you could call it plate. I don't think $4 covers that difference. But I've seen these cards in worse shape for more, right? So these cards are expensive, basically, right? So I think it's fine. The amount that I got back, I still would have bought it for this. If I had seen these, actually, I'm pretty sure they showed the actual picture, right? So I knew, these are all cards, right? So, and they're not from the same person that sold it, So there's differences in grading and, and just, So I'm still, because like I said, I researched these cards. I've been researching these cards. I think it's still fine, especially given I got a couple of bucks back. So I'm still okay with it, with the sale. At least looking at from the front, let me check the back, maybe the back. Now these are one of those cards where the back is important because it's a bit more of an expensive card, so the it matters more. So this is the more jacked up one. Definitely has this used. This is not light plate, it's plate. So this is the one that's light plate. Yeah. But you guys tell me. I think $3 doesn't cover the difference. I still would have bought it, just to be clear. And it's nice that they took it upon themselves. I didn't ask for it, right? Before I even opened up the package, they had already sent me an email and issued me that refund. Maybe I'll see if I can open up that email, or maybe not. Depends. I don't want to include too much information about these things, personal information, even from the company. So seems pretty good, right? A little bit of weathering, but acceptable. It still looks pretty nice. Not compared to this one. So here, maybe you're not seeing those finer details, but yeah, there it is. You can see the border now. All around. It's not just only at the top right. Plus in the back. Let me put both of these in the same frame. The bottom one is the better condition one than the top. And this one all around on all four borders. This one better. And that's all throughout. Same thing, let's do the front. The bottom one is the better condition one, the true light plate. Top one is the one where they said it was not light plate. Yep, very clearly a difference. This is the more jacked up one. I don't think for $3 and change covers that difference. I think I should have gotten $10 back. Right? $3 is a whole grading level down from light plate to was moderate plate, light to plate. I think plate would be the level down. If it was like $25 card and then $3 back, I think maybe that's the difference between light plate and plate. But in a $50 card, I think, I think they should have done more. All right, so that's enough. Let me show the listing again. So originally marked as light plate. One is light plate, clearly one is not. And to their credit, like I said, they themselves offered me that refund. Let me see if I can either show it or at least read back to you. Okay, so all right, so I guess this is okay to show. And like I said, I just opened up the cards now. I didn't know this. So I know this was going to be an issue before I even opened the cards, because they, out of their own behalf, out of their own actions, they did this. So a partial refund has been issued on behalf of Goblin Traders Games. So refund $3.20. When pulling the cards for your order, we noticed that one of the creatures we had listed on CC Play was less than light play condition, to say the least. A refund for the difference between the condition purchased and the condition of the card we shipped. I don't think $3, especially when I have both those cards back to back. It's a very noticeable difference. Thank you for airing. My price for income this may have caused, and then this. All right. So, okay. So, on the one side, it's nice that they even took it upon themselves to even do it, right? Because I didn't even. This is the first time I opened up the cards. So before they even did it, they acknowledged that. Honestly, what I don't like about this situation, I'm still gonna keep the cards. I'm not gonna complain much because, like I said, I researched these cards. Even for this more jacked up one for $50 is still a good price, right? According to what I saw. So all in all, it evens out, right? The better condition one against this one is still okay, right? Plus these are, like I said, for now, I see them more as sideboard. Like I said, like I also said, I have seen them in the main deck. So it depends. I have flexibility with these. These can go either way, but for now they are a sideboard card. But the main thing I don't like about this is that if you notice that difference, you said as you were, setting it up, you notice that difference. I think the better thing would have been to just cancel the order, or at least send an email like, hey, we were wrong. We marked it as 2 light played, but it's 1 light played, 1 moderate played, or 1 played condition. We want to give you the difference, but we want you to first approve, right? Do you still want to go with the transaction? And we give you this difference back, yes or no, right? They shipped it up. I actually had the cards already. This was one of the first cards I got, but since I knew other cards were coming in, I just didn't open it. So I already had the cards either that same day, but later in the day, or maybe the next day is when I got that email, right? So I already had the cards in hand, and then a tiny bit after the fact, I got the email, right? But I mean, they already knew about it. So, just honestly, it's like I said, the price is still fine and everything. It's more the process, right? It's just some of these sellers, the way they handle the situation, I don't like it. I think I probably would have said yes, but I think the more honest thing to do would have been to ask first. We noticed the 2 cards, the differences are very clearly visible. We're not selling you 2 light play cards. We want to give you the difference back, but we want you to approve first. We don't want to just take it upon ourselves, say, okay, you still got a light plate and a plate card, and we give you the difference, but maybe what if I only wanted light plate cards, right? Then I don't have that choice anymore, and then I would have to go through all the hassle of returning it and whatever. I think it would have been nicer to just, it was still nice that they gave me anything back. But if you're gonna go through that step, just, also just, contact the buyer by that point, just at least give them that option, right? So especially, $50, it's a bit more expensive. But I'm gonna keep the cards, like I said, unless it's something like so blatant. Usually I'm not gonna, it's not a big, it's not the biggest deal, basically, right? So this one, and still, the card is still nice. A little weathering is fine by me, right? So because like I said, I'm not getting these as an investment, although I do recognize I could always, if I ever decide to not, to quit, right? Or may I need the money, I could get most of my money back, if not all of it, if not maybe make a little profit, over time. But as I'm getting them now, these are for my own personal use, right? So, I don't care about getting my money back, but I know I could, or at least, maybe a little more, a little less, depending. So, in that case, that little bit of a difference may come into play, but still, for now, it's fine. All right, so then that was the last two. Like I said, these are definitely in the main sideboard. I guess I could all go through that right now, since I'm talking about the sideboard so much. So currently, this is my 15-card sideboard. I already have it sleeved up. But like I said, it changes. I do want to add those two creatures. Or I think I do, I got so many cards, maybe not. We'll see. So one Maze of If. I'm thinking about getting another one, even if maybe the second one doesn't get included into the 15-card sideboard. I just want to have a second one, right? Because at the time I thought these were restricted. I think it may depends on the format. They could be, maybe, but from what I've seen, they're not, right? So, and then just adding one is kind of like not worth it. So I may get another one. Black Vice. I usually see 4 of these, which is why I have 4 of them in the sideboard. These are good for control decks. 1 Relic Barrier. Right, so this one can be changed. I could add the Dust to Dust that I just got, right? So, crumbles, right? Depending on the player, depending on what you think. There's different ways of dealing with artifacts, right? So this is one way. This is also another one that I may buy a second. So 1 Icy Manipulator, right? I bought 4 of them, right? So I had included the 4 before in my original deck list. Now I only have 2, but this just gives me a little bit more options if I wanted a bit more control in my deck. Tranquility. This card is for my own collection of cards, right? And this 4th edition is a cheap card. So it's good for destroys all enchantments, so it's good for wiping the board in case maybe a turbo stasis deck, right? It has karmas, has stasis, right? A lot of enchantments. So that's the reason for this. So this one I didn't buy, I had it already. Same thing with these. I already had these 2 Divine Offerings. So I already had these. These are in 4th edition, I believe. So these are also, I see a lot of these in sideboards. Some people have even more than 2 in their sideboard. Some people may also put it in their main deck. And then some Circle of Protections here. I got a green. So this is also another one. I may buy a second one. Greater Realm of Preservation is a Circle of Protection, but it's for both red and black. But you have to pay more to stop the damage. But it's in 1 card though. Another Armageddon, right? So for my Erhnamgeddon, right now I only have 2 plus 1 balance, right? The balance kind of acts like an Armageddon, plus I have the 2 Winter Orbs, right? So it's different ways of dealing with messing up my opponent's lands, his mana base. But if I think I need an extra one, I added 1 in the sideboard. Same thing. Ooh, actually I didn't have the other Circle of Protection. So I only have a green and then the Greater Realm of Preservation. I got 2 Wrath of Gods in the sideboard here. This may change, right? Actually, for a lot of these may change, right? So Wrath of Gods, I may not have them at all. Same thing with the Armageddon. I may just choose not to have them. Like I was saying before, these are options. I'm getting a lot of these cards just to have different options, so I can tailor the sideboard depending on what I think is best at the moment, right? But now with some of these cards that I've purchased, right? So the Preachers routinely get put in Erhnamgeddon sideboard. So I may take out something else for that. And just to give you a rundown of some of the other cards I've purchased from before, I've got a playset of 4th edition Mishra's Factories. These are also good for Bantamgeddon, or just there's other ways. There's other Erhnamgeddon formats that use versions that use these, right? So Pendelhaven I had from before in the main deck, but then I took it out. Went to Orb also. I had 3 before. I just kept 2. Navina Rolls this I have 2 of. Right, I've seen them in sideboards. So, but they hurt this deck a lot too, right? Because my deck has a lot of artifacts. So this would be good for budget. For a budget Erhnamgeddon deck, that would exclude all the moxes, of course. And then if I don't have so many moxes, so many artifacts in general, then these Navina Rolls this would be pretty good. Right, so this is a good one for budget versions. Here, my other Circle of Protections. These are, I didn't buy these. I had from my personal collection, and I have more of these. So these usually they get put as not just one, because you probably won't even draw the one. So I'm gonna look at my collection and add a couple more of the same ones. Here's another Tranquility, once again from my own personal collection. I may add 2. Other than that, these other ones are all cards I've already shown in other videos, so I'm not going to show that. I just wanted to show the cards that I have from my own collection that I hadn't shown before, but that you could be seeing me use in the sideboard, right? So those Tranquilities, Circle of Protections, I had those, right? So all these are cheap stuff. I didn't have anything that was expensive, but I don't need to buy them, so because I already have them. So I just wanted full disclosure. So some of these cards are from my own collection, but it would have just been a couple dollars if I wanted to get it myself. And I did have Land of War Owls, but they were kind of jacked up and they were so cheap. That's when I decided to buy the 4 initially, right? Now I took those 4 out because I've now decided, since now my deck has a splash of black and blue, the Birds of Paradise were more important now, right? But just, I wanted to give you guys a little rundown of all those other cards that I have. These cards will go in here, and then I got to play around with now that I have these cards, I got to play around with the sideboard, see what I'm going to take out. I want to add those Preachers. But like, as I was saying, this gives me options, right? So maybe I do the Preachers in the sideboard, maybe I do some Dust to Dust in the sideboard. Karmas, right? So may I add 1 or 2 Tsunamis if I think I'm going to be playing against a lot of control, right? So just give me options, right? So depending on the way I think as I play games, I'll see what I'm more likely to be playing against, and then that will inform me the direction that I go with the sideboard. I may purchase additional cards as I see different needs, but then that's what I wanted, to have a big pool of cards to then choose the 15 card sideboard from, and also have just extra cards so that I can change the deck, turn it to from the top tier it is now. The only top tier card is missing it right now after I'm getting the Max Jet will be the Black Lotus. That's the only one card. I do have a proxy for it, but I don't plan on actually playing games with it. This is more for my own play testing. That's the only top tier card that the deck is missing. But from that, I can turn it to a budget version where I could add, right, Savannah Lines, make it more of a weenie deck, or maybe add some Mishra's Factories, right? So that's also a possibility. Order of Late Burst that I had from before, right? And I still want the White Knights, right? So I'll turn it to a weenie deck. Right, here's the Serendipity Freaks, Mahamori Jins if I wanted a little bit more power. So, but those are more budget cards, right? So I could turn my deck from one extreme to the other by just swapping some cards. So these I don't put into the sleeves, because unless I'm changing the deck up, I don't want to sleeve every single one of these cards, right? As I need it, as I want to switch, at least I have them available, right? So I can go from the top tier of what I have now, where this deck is now like $7,000-8,000 worth of cards, to a budget version, right? So I can do that. I could also do X points, right? Where you're only allowed 7, 8, 10 points max usually. And then I could add some muxes, but not all of them. I could add some, maybe I could add an Ancestral Recall, maybe not, right? So in that case, right, that's more in the middle. Then I could swap. I'll need to swap some of the muxes for some Fogwar Stones, right? So I bought them from before, but I took them all out because I have muxes now. But if I'm doing X points, I can change that, right? So it gives me the possibility of me playing regular full-on X points, budget, or I can actually transform the deck, turn it into more of a Bantamgeddon version that has blue in it as a main color, right? So that would be a 3-color deck. Although for that one, those decks do need dual lands, right? The Tundra and Tropical Island that added the blue, right? So if I go that way, I would have to also purchase. I don't have to, I guess, but it'll make it a lot more stronger if I did. Honestly, I want to get all full playset of all the revised dual lands, right? But that's a lot of money, a lot of effort, and that would be definitely for personal collection, right? Because I'm not gonna make 10 different old school decks here. With this one Erhnamgeddon deck, I can tweak it to different versions, and then I might just do a whole different second deck, blue aggro, right? But that's a cheap deck anyway, right? So that wouldn't cost much money, wouldn't take much effort to do, right? But having many different decks, unless they're budget, I don't anticipate. So I wouldn't. If I one day, like in several years, I do end up getting a full playset of all the dual lands in revised, right? I wouldn't get them in any other version, right? Because it's just too much money. That would be just a personal collection thing, right? I just think those dual lands are so cool, so iconic. It'd be cool to have, right? But that's kind of like the Black Lotus thing, right? It's just such a big thing. That's more in the future. But at least if I do go dip my toes into that, I would start with the Tropical Islands, Tundras, right? So that I could accommodate a Bantamgeddon version of this deck as well, right? So I've already started looking at prices for that, actually. So that is a possible addition that I might add. Not so soon, but relatively soon. As I see a good price, I might get it. All right, but other than that, I just wanted to. This is everything else. All the other cards, my reasoning for them. Right, I'll be getting a couple little things here and there. Like I said, I want to get a Brain Geyser, right? That's a very nice card as well. It's included routinely in decks that splash blue, right? So I might not put in this deck, right? But it's just one of those cards. I think it'd be nice to have, and it could very easily, if I went to the, it could be added in the budget version or the X points version, right? So it's a great card, iconic card, not so expensive. So this is not the end, right? This is a living project. As I get more ideas, as I Library of Alexandria is also another card. Like that one is very expensive. There's no reprints of that, so that would be at least $1,500 investment. So that's definitely another one that's on my wish list. But you know, that's doesn't stop this current deck now from being completed once I get my max jet. Once I get that, which should be early next week, the deck will be fully complete. I'll have plenty of cards to choose from to change the sideboard, tweak the sideboard. I do anticipate playing games very, very soon. So that's why I really wanted to do this video, because this opens up those final little bits of cards for me to switch up my sideboard in anticipation of me finally receiving that final max jet and starting to play, right? So soon enough, that will be the next step. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully some either videos of me playing, me having recorded the videos, or at least me, you know, doing a play-by-play or rehashing the events of what happened. But in one way or another, games should be being played soon, and in one way or another, you guys will know about the results, how I did, whether I actually recorded the videos or I just tell you what happened, right? But that should be coming up very soon. Thank you for watching this video.